says we reject all knowledge which is merely probable and judge that only those things should be believed which are perfectly known and about which there can be no doubt. It's a very complex statement, but what he is saying is that hard science is the only truth. No other knowledge matters. All knowledge is produced by the hard sciences. For instance, our mathematical sciences. They are really hard science because 1, 2, 3, 4, they are quantifiable. They are quantifiable and they are verifiable. You and I can verify it. Even a child can verify it. Even a person who belongs to a different religion can verify it. Adivasis can verify it. Verify it. And this repeatability. Repeatability is a factor of hard sciences which Descartes says. It can be repeated and it can be verified. 1, 2, 3, 4 can be repeated whether it is over the sun or under the moon, it will be the same thing. But we also have to realize, Descartes failed to realize that the distinctions and the differences, the subtle differences between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 and 5 are slightly different. But then that is the belief in science which actually gave rise to what is called Enlightenment movement in the Western world. Enlightenment is a sense of rationality. Even now we swear by that. If somebody comes and reports that they saw a ghost in the neighborhood or inside a window, they saw a face peering out, immediately we say, oh, is it scientifically provable? We assume that when scientists prove something, it is a truth. When hard scientists don't, they disapprove of something, we say it's superstition and we dismiss it. But this sort of rationality and logic, sense of rationality, sense of logic, repeatability, all these things are the factors of science. So excessive belief in the scientific method. This is the verifiability, repeatability, perpetual truth of all knowledge. So this is something which has given rise to this subject, object and the cogito. Because René Descartes was the man who gave this whole idea of Renaissance. He said, cogito ergo sum, which our scientists even now swear. That is, I think. Cogito means I think, therefore I am. I am able to think, therefore I am. So my ability to think actually distinguishes my existence. My ontology is marked by my ability to think and to reflect. But the ability to think and reflect is something that actually makes me dominate the rest of the world. This is what has happened. Individuality and the validation of reason has given rise to individuals who exercise power in an autonomic way. This is terrible. The whole sense of the aggrandizement of the ego, the sublimation of one's own self is that which has given rise to this notion of power in terms of ideology. The commonness of love, affection, understanding, sympathy, and ability to vibrate in harmony with the other has been slightly demarcated and left aside. This is what gave rise to this nature culture by the way. I'm trying to explain what I've been saying so far. And these are actually integrated by this notion of ecology. Because ecology is a branch of science which actually brings together everything. All life forms are united. The unification of life, living and non-living things, is that which has given rise to it. So ecology, economics, and ethics, these are the three key words of science. I shall conclude my lecture with a wise sort of concept called deep ecology. Deep ecology is a concept which evolved out of the Norwegian thinker Arne Naess passed away fairly recently. Arne Naess was a Gandhi, and Arne Naess gave rise to this notion of deep ecology. So many of us, when you read anything by Arne Naess and you read into deep ecology, you will be surprised because you will feel that, what is he saying? He is talking as much as Lord Mahavira or the Buddha. Jainism and Buddhism have already spoken about these factors, which Arne Naess and others talk about in their idea of deep ecology. Now, the very fact that he spoke about deep ecology tells us that there is a surface ecology. Otherwise, why should he speak about deep ecology? So he has spoken about deep ecology, and ecology has to be distinct, two separate factors, surface and this thing. Now these are the points of deep ecology. Perhaps we can keep this in mind when we do our pursuit of something more than the rationality, something more than the logical reasoning, something more than human beings when we pursue these things. A rejection of anthropocentrism. We have to go beyond human beings. For instance, if you are planting a tree, in the government sectors we have these issues. A lot of people ask us, what tree can I plant? They have to choose what tree to plant. And when they choose a tree, everybody will agree. Let us plant a tree which is useful for us. You want to come like that. If I say, I stand up and I say, sir, let us plant a tree which is a useless tree. Immediately everybody will take aspects at me. What do you mean useless? It has to be useful for us. Now, when we ask questions of what is useful, it is useful only for us. Everything is useful for somebody else. That you will see, the wisdom of the Upanishads. You can enjoy by abandonment, because ultimately that is the whole truth. The Sanskrit, the Upanishadic scholars, the people who lived in the forest, have actually thought about these things. It is not as if this has come all of a sudden. So the rejection of anthropocentrism is that which actually is talked about by Arminians in this idea of deep ecology. All life on earth has an intrinsic value irrespective of the human act. So there is an intrinsic value. Everything has got an essential value. I am not talking about essentialities.